Good morning, everyone. It's You Auto Know Joe here, and we got a Ford Flex 2014, and it's got a check engine light right about there. So we're gonna plug in the scanner and see what we got. Yes, I make my own theme music. Ba 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 ba. OBD, open up. La 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 la. Dun dun. Scan tool time. It's the scan tool time. All right, we're gonna shut the car off. We're gonna take out the key. We're gonna connect up to our snap-on, and I will let you guys know what we find out. All right, this is an older model, but it kind of works pretty good still. Okay, key on. Hopefully if you're watching this video, you know how to pull codes. We're gonna go to scanner. We're gonna find Ford. Auto ID. 2014 Flexer. All right, and then you're gonna do a code scan. And we're gonna see what we got here. So once that gets to 100, we'll be able to review all the codes. This car is gonna need a battery too, most likely at some point. Batteries from 2019, so I'm not sure if that's gonna play a factor in this, but I have pulled up some information that we can all go through and hopefully diagnose the issue. So be right back. So when it's done scanning all the modules, you'll get this systems detected 17. There's one engine code, one transmission code, one audio control module code, one instrument panel control module code. So then there's one HVAC code. So the memory code is a P0430, and it's also in memory for the transmission. And those are the only codes there for the PCM or the TCM for that matter. And I'm not really going to worry about these here. I'm surprised this car even has GPS because it doesn't have navigation. So I'm not even going to worry about that. Invalid data received. That's interesting. Alrighty, so we know we got a P0430 catalyst system low efficiency bank 2. So I pulled some info from all data, and I'll put that up on the screen now. Check 1 and check 2 was basically to verify there were no other codes other than P0430, which in our case there is. Now if it was P0420 and not P0430, one or the other, then that would still apply. And obviously if you read through the information, the reason for that is that oftentimes the catalytic converter code can be set because there's something else going on with the vehicle, and you don't want to just go ahead and throw a cat at it, because then you're not going to actually fix the issue, and then that cat's going to burn out very quickly as well. So that's why it's important to verify if there's any other codes going on. So according to the information, the next test is to check the heated oxygen sensor wiring and make sure that it's not crossed. So we're going to go underneath the vehicle and visually inspect the heated oxygen sensor wiring. Now its heated oxygen sensor would have 4 wires: the signal wire, the ground, and then the circuit for actually heating up the sensor. According to the internet, cylinder 1 is this cylinder back here. So cylinder 1 would be where bank 1 is. Bank 2 would be where cylinder 2 is. So believe this is 1, 3, 5 in this bank, and then you've got 2, 4, and 6 over here, so it'll go boo boo, you know, that's the firing order. So this basically is bank 2 right here. So let's see if we can determine where the oxygen sensor is. Now this is a sensor right here, I believe, and that's got a 4-pin connector there, and then the downstream you can see just in there underneath. So Let's just visually inspect both of these connectors for any connectivity issues, so make sure that they're tight. Look for any signs that the wires have been pulled out of the connection. Sometimes with oxygen sensors that can cause an open if there's a lot of tension on the wires. Those all feel good. And then if we actually inspect this side of it as well, you can see that there's no frayed wire loom near the connector. I'm not seeing any signs of corrosion, breaks in the wire, or anything like that. Then there's our oxygen sensor going into the exhaust manifold. Now, of course, if you have a P0420 code, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to access the sensors. There's one on the back and then there's one underneath, so you're better off going from underneath if you've got a 420 as opposed to a 430 code. We're now under the vehicle. Here's the wiring right here for the other oxygen sensor. And while you're under here, you want to inspect for any potential holes in the exhaust, like what we might have right there maybe. Or also check the cap. Look for any type of damage, any pieces falling off, heat shield dents, anything like that. Any potential exhaust leaks, etc., etc., etc. So here is the O2 sensor. Looks pretty old, and it looks like it's possibly seen better days, but I don't see any visible damage. But just based on a quick visual inspection, this might be fried on the inside. This car was in Arizona for a long time, and it was right there by the ground. So it is possible that this could be our culprit. However, nothing in the literature says to condemn it without testing it first. So we've verified our wiring here underneath and above at both O2 sensors. So the next step of verifying the wiring, which is HF step 3, is to check the PCM connector. PCM is back here. See this large wire loom here going into this area here. So it'd be the passenger side of the vehicle. So it's actually here under the wiper cowl. So I don't have a wiring diagram, but you would want to pull a wiring diagram, and you would want to isolate the connector for the heated oxygen sensor for bank 2 if you have P0430, or bank 1 if it's P0420. So that gets into some electrical troubleshooting. For me personally, I don't think I need to go that far into it because I have no other signs that there would be an electrical issue. Now, I know that's kind of the incorrect way to do things, but I'm going to continue on and see if there's anything else glaring. And if I still am having an issue, I'll have to circle back and check the PCM connection. The next step after fuel pressure is to check for any exhaust leaks. So the easiest way to do that is to just start the vehicle and get up under there and listen for anything that sounds abnormal. A lot of times an exhaust leak can sound like a go-kart, or basically any deviation from what the car normally should sound like, or if one part of the exhaust sounds louder than another one. And also check near where the exhaust flanges meet up. And let's do it. If you're doing this on a flat surface, e-brake on. Okay, we're gonna lift the vehicle and put a jack stand on either side. All right, so let's start it up, get underneath, and check for any exhaust leaks. See what we got. We can start at the back and work our way forward, I guess. So back here, I don't hear anything. I don't see anything. I'm gonna go around towards where the muffler meets the pipe. So one of the places you can look is right here at these connections. Oh, that's not split, it's just a flange, okay? That looks good. That looks good. All the way up to where we were when we were looking at the O2 sensor. Alright, now let's check the front. This is really hot, so probably not the best. Right here, sometimes it can leak. Back here, maybe. But overall, I don't hear or see anything. There's the other bank O2 sensor. So basically, we're directly under the rear of the engine. You can see there's your catalytic converter for bank 1. So after checking for leaks, you also want to check for exhaust back pressure and for any restrictions. Now, it does say here in the information is a back pressure tester available, which for me it's not. So go ahead and skip that step if you're in the same boat. Now it's better to do it if you can, if you think that's an issue, but you should be able to hear it if you come back by the exhaust pipes. You know, you should be able to hear if there's excessive pressure. It'll be like kind of like a droning noise, you know. Or if you put your hand up to it and there's a ton of pressure on the exhaust, that's another sign you could have an issue with that. Everything sounded good for me when I was underneath the vehicle. There was no restrictions, and one way you could also look for restrictions is if the vehicle is warmed up to operating temperature and you see like part or all of the cat glowing, there could be something clogged. And same thing around the muffler area. If you see anything that's like abnormally hot compared to the rest of the exhaust, that can also be a sign. So now let's move on to the next one. The last test that you could do is to check for excessive manifold vacuum. So we'll have to go back to the scan tool to do that. So the last test you're actually going to conduct with a vacuum gauge. So it's a manifold vacuum pressure test. Just check out the screenshot that I uploaded for all the details on how to do that. And according to the information, if that doesn't fix the issue, or I'm sorry, when you finish all 9 tests, you'll go ahead and clear the codes, and then you'll go ahead and run the catalytic converter through a drive cycle, you know, the catalyst drive cycle. And if you did everything correctly, the light should not come back. Now, the point of running through all 9 of the tests is to isolate the problem. For me, I haven't really been able to isolate the problem. Granted, I kind of just did it the quick way, and I'm sure if this was a shop, people would not be happy with my diagnosis procedure because, for one, I don't have access to all the right tools and equipment to actually thoroughly get through this. And for 2, I don't see any glaring issues, but I realize that if I just clear the code and drive it, it's most likely going to come back because I haven't changed anything. So my game plan, change the spark plugs, fuel injector, fuel system cleaner while I have the manifold off, to do the spark plugs on, you know, bank 1. I'm going to spray some valve cleaner into the manifold, so hopefully that will seep through into the valves. And we'll just kind of go from there. And change the battery, because the battery's super old. Hopefully the combination of those things can clear it up and get the car back running good again. And if not, I'll have to potentially dig into more of what the issue is, but I can't see any glaring issues based on the checks that I did in this video. So hopefully this was helpful. Stay tuned for the next video to see me actually work on the car. But a big part of fixing a vehicle is about diagnosis before you even turn a wrench. So hopefully this gave you an idea of how to go about diagnosing a P0420 or a P0430 on a Ford Flex. Thank you.